Welcome to Your Worthy Career, a podcast with me, Melissa Lawrence. I'm a career and life coach with all the corporate cred in talent development and organizational psychology, and I help women like you get extraordinary results by being more you, not less. I won't just help you have a career experience worthy of you, but I will help you build your self-worth to shift what you think is possible and take the action that will create the career you've always wanted. Whether it's more meaningful work you're passionate about, making more money, getting to your next level, or being more effective as a leader, we are shattering the glass ceiling here, the one that exists for women at work and the one we put on ourselves with our doubt and inner critic. Each week, you will get practical teachings grounded in neuroscience and effective career development strategies. You'll experience deep mindset shifts and the perfect amount of woo so you can run your career with ease rather than your career running you. You were born for more, and I'm going to help you get there, with maybe a few dance parties along the way. Your up level begins now. Hello and welcome to the first episode of 2024. I'm so happy to be with you here today, and I brought back a fan favorite, my wife Ellen. She's in the office with me, and so for this episode, I wanted to do a recap of 2023, like a year in review, what we're going to be doing for 2024, and set the year up on a good note. And who better to facilitate this conversation with me and give you behind the scenes looks and get me talking about things maybe I didn't plan to than Ellen. So we have poured some wine. It is a Tuesday evening. And we're going to talk about 2023. You say hi, Ellen?
Hello.
So for those that maybe don't know Ellen, maybe this is your first episode. Ellen is my wife. She is a director, senior director of Analytical Development. She works in industry, and that's actually where we met many years ago. And now she joins me on occasion to give myself and everyone a little treat.
Yeah, so much fun.
Yeah, so the last one we did was called Tipsy Takeover, where she interviewed me with surprise questions. This one is a little bit similar, so she prepared questions ahead of time. I don't know what they are. I do know that we're talking about a year in review, so I did think about it a little bit, but I'm going to be hearing your questions or hearing her questions the same time you're hearing them, and we're just going to go from there.
All right.
Or are you just going to dive right in?
Sounds good. No, I mean, 2023, the year that was.
What? What does that even mean?
I don't know. I've heard bits and pieces of your year, what you're comfortable sharing, and it sounds like it was a busy year for you. I also had a busy year, so we kind of had that in common. And it seemed like it was a transitionary year for you based on what I heard in terms of your business model and where you want to take your business for the future in terms of growth, in terms of having a greater footprint in the industry and impacting more people positively. So kind of thinking about that, as you think back on your year, what do you feel was the biggest challenge that you overcame in 2023?
Oh, the biggest challenge. Okay. You should know I always start my sessions with the positive, but...
Well, this is positive.
What the biggest challenge? You didn't say I overcame the challenge.
Yeah, what is the biggest challenge you overcame?
Oh, that I overcame.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Am I not speaking?
I had quite a few challenges. Are we going to talk about multiple challenges or just this one?
Nope, we're going to talk about more challenges in
different capacities.
Is a little bit
Okay.
but they're a little bit different, yeah.
Okay. Biggest challenge. I would say the biggest challenge was my growth. Not just like in my business model, but like in who I had to become this year to execute on this year. So
the biggest challenge you overcame was yourself?
Yeah, and I think everyone listening really relates to that. They'll be like, yeah, my biggest too sometimes. Yeah, I think it was, I didn't think I was the problem necessarily, but when I think about, for example, launching the groups that I did this year, I wasn't new to facilitating groups. I was new to offering this service in this way. And that is something that I had to do a lot of work on to pivot from the one-on-one coach to the coach that facilitated groups. And there's a whole skill set involved in that, right? Instead of just, hey, come talk to me when you want to get some coaching, set up a consultation, and then we see, what the wait list is or what the situation is, and then get you scheduled for your first session. This was, thinking about the common denominator across multiple people and having them come into a space at the same time to work on the same problem. And I dragged my feet on that a lot. Like, it actually was something I had planned to do last year. So this would have been 2022, end of 2022. And I didn't do it because I was too stuck in the how. I was too stuck in making sure that whatever I put together was going to facilitate a return on investment that was the same or greater than what they would experience one-on-one with me. There were some unknowns there, and I had to really work through those to figure out how I could guarantee the results that I promise in a new format I hadn't done before. And that took a lot of growth on my part. And I just want to mention also what this relates to is really self-doubt and doubting yourself, trusting yourself ahead of time. And it's something I work with my clients all the time on. And you can get to a point where you don't doubt yourself anymore. But then when new challenges come up and you get to your next level of growth, it's usually when people say they experience like imposter syndrome, which is not how I would classify this, but that's how some people say how it feels, is it's just you're at this new level of growth you haven't conquered yet. And one of my clients said the greatest thing today in the group program that we're talking about. And she said, my boss kept giving me the opportunity to doubt myself, and I didn't take the opportunity. And I thought that was such a beautiful way to say it, because in your life, and I'm getting really winded here, but like as far as explaining this answer, but in your life, you get so many opportunities to doubt yourself when you try anything new, just like I did when I started launching these groups and doing a different business model and growing and getting in front of different audiences. Like, I had all of these opportunities, like she said, to doubt myself and to maybe say, I'm going to stay in the safe lane. And, the one-on-one coaching and the certain containers for coaching I've been doing so far have been really successful for me. I'm just going to keep doing that and not break out and do something new. And I had those opportunities and I turned them down. It took me a little time to work through them because I care so much. I know it sounds like a weird thing to say, but I care so much about the results that my clients get. I take their investment as seriously as they do. And so I don't want them to invest in something I offer and not get the results if they do the work. And so I just had to get really creative in figuring out how I could make sure they had the best experience possible. And so that took a lot of growth for me. I feel like it was a good personal growth for me to get to this next level and then be faced with some of those challenges I've had earlier in my career, like my clients do. And I was able to recover more quickly because of who I am. But you're going to continue to grow. And when you grow, you have challenges and you're going to have to always know how to overcome them. And so I had that going on in the background.
Okay. So the challenge was kind of the pivot in the business model and the self-doubt and fear that you had to overcome.
Yeah, overcoming the perfectionist tendencies, the wanting to know the future, the wanting to, kind of see the results for something before you do it, right? Which is also something my clients deal with all the time at work, even when they try to consider investing in coaching. It'll be like, well, I haven't done it yet. I don't know. Will I get the results? It's the same thing. I just had to do it for myself at a different level.
Yeah, and you're not clairvoyant, and you just can't let perfect be the enemy of great, which is something I say a lot at work. So that kind of feeds nicely into one of my other questions. The question was, where did you get out of your own way? You kind of already answered that. So how did you go about getting yourself out of your own way? What types of mental exercises did you use? What types of other tips or tricks might you have to share with folks?
Yeah, I mean, the good news is the way that I work through it is using the same tools and techniques that I teach them when they coach with me. So I had those, which meant I was able to work through it more quickly. But a lot of it is looking at separating what is fear and how is fear driving what you're doing or not doing, and kind of crumbling that down. So if you find yourself acting out of like lack and scarcity and fear of like something happening that you don't want to happen or doing something wrong, then you know that that's not actually a logical problem you're trying to solve. It's mind drama you're trying to solve. And so because I can identify what mind drama is versus real drama, I was able to distinguish what type of problem it was and then use the appropriate resource to solve it.
Okay. Awesome.
If only people could see you nodding your head.
Yeah. It's like the Real Housewives of Melissa with all the drama in your brain.
What does that mean?
Because those shows are so fraught with drama, and it's like you're creating your own drama inside your brain, so you're having to overcome it to get yourself out of your own way with all the different tools that you have in your toolbox.
Yeah, I mean...
No, not a good analogy.
I guess I think you're still living in BravoCon land. I don't... But yeah, sure.
No, it's just, reality TV land.
Okay.
So, what would you say personally for you is the area of most growth?
That I need to have yet or that I've had already?
Let's do both.
Oh,
jeez. That you've had already over 2023 and what you're going to be focusing on, or not necessarily focusing on, but something that you want to achieve, an area where you want to grow next year, or well, I guess this year, 2024.
So growth that I've had, I think, is stepping up into like a more like my self-concept, the way that I think about myself and the way that I think about my business changed this year. Part of that is from the work of overcoming what I did with shifting my business model and seeing where I was really attached to something that felt comfortable and predictable, and growing through that, but also through relationships. So just like in the corporate world, you build relationships with people and they can let you down. And I'm a very loyal person and I care deeply about people I work with, about other people in the world. That's why I do what I do. And so I can give people the benefit of the doubt and expect that when I am being generous and giving and they're saying things that they're going to follow through. And I had some experiences that just in my business setting with relationships I was building from a business perspective, colleagues that I learned weren't as invested as I was. And that was hurtful a little bit to work through, and to see that like it doesn't matter what your title is. It doesn't matter if you own a company. It doesn't matter if you follow through on everything that you say you're going to do. At the end of the day, other people are accountable for their own behavior and they're not always going to meet you where you are. And that was another opportunity that I had to grow and to neutralize those things and to see where I was putting maybe personal investments into people or situations that I now know can be more neutral, so that I'm not attached to any specific outcome and can also make decisions from a place that are going to look at my best interests as well as theirs. Because at the end of the day, I want to help as many people as possible. And sometimes that can be an enemy of mine because it makes me say yes to more things than I might have bandwidth for. And so that was another lesson that I learned, is stepping into that CEO concept even more. And I feel like every time we're going to have this conversation, I'm probably going to say that, because every year is another year of growth and another year of overcoming new challenges and just stepping into this next level. So I love it. I love the growth. I love continuing to evolve, but sometimes it can be painful as you grow, and that's why it's growth, right? If you're comfortable, you're not growing. And then as far as growth moving forward, so I really am looking forward to expanding who I can help and how I can help them. So I'm still working women in pharma. I plan to always be working in that space, the pharma and biotech space. But this year and then going into 2024, I am getting in front of different audiences. My company, Your Worthy Career, sponsored an organization for the first time this past year, and I spoke at their conference. I investing financially as a sponsor into an organization that supports women in the sciences, and more will be coming out about that later. And so doing things like that is a way for me to give back and also expand the footprint that my business has to show like, hey, like there are opportunities for you to claim your career, to do what's best for you, to figure out what you want, to grow. And I've always wanted to have multiple ways to do that, which is why I have this platform, the podcast. People can take in all of this wisdom at no cost. I do trainings that are free. I have emails, social media content that's intended to help you. And then I also have ways that you can work with me if you want to take it deeper, either one-on-one or in group. So I just want to continue to expand the people that I can help and give back. So I've always given back at the end of the year monetarily to organizations that support equality and equity and fairness among all populations, and I'll continue to do that. And as I grow, I just want to do that at a bigger scale.
Okay, that makes sense. How difficult was it for you when you weren't met where you are in terms of these relationships you were trying to build, to kind of shake it off and move
you're
forward?
gonna dig deeper on that?
Yeah. You gave me like
a little nugget to chew on.
So I'm going down the rabbit hole.
All right. How difficult was it for me to what?
To kind of shake it off when these people or these organizations didn't meet you where you were. You had obviously not just professional investment in terms of time, but an emotional investment as well. So to not take that personally and to just to be able to like shake it off and move forward and recognize that it could perhaps be their loss if they're not willing to partner with you in the same way you're willing to partner with them. How difficult was that for you? And what advice would you have to others who may be in a similar situation and need to let something go for their own benefit?
Well, I just put on Taylor Swift Shake It Off, and I got over it.
You just had a dance party to tease
Then it was done.
Okay, nice.
I had a 5-second funeral, and I moved on. No, I wish. That's what I'm working toward. Of course, like when you're an empathetic person that builds relationships with people, like it's natural to have a human response to that. When you feel like people didn't meet you where you were or didn't, have the same loyalty to you. So I can totally see, like, I have compassion for myself for having a human response of like, oh, this didn't really work out the way that I wanted it to. As far as like getting over it, I think it was really just like, I think part of it is having a sounding board, right? So for me, I like to talk things out. You can tell by my 5-minute responses sometimes on these questions you've given me. But like with you, for example, I'll say like, hey, this happened, and like, what's your perspective on it? Because I know that I can have blind spots and I want to believe the best in people. And so if I get another perspective, then that can help me see maybe something that I didn't see. And I just want to make sure that I'm not feeling negatively about something if I'm just sabotaging myself with the way that I'm thinking about it. So asking for help, having that sounding board to be like, hey, does this sound reasonable to you? What do you think about this? Was helpful. I think it also, what helped me get over it or let go of it was I think of it as an opportunity. So I know it might sound cheesy, but I really think of like every frustration I have as a decision that needs to be made, and every obstacle is a problem to be solved. Like that's just the way that I think about it. So when those were happening, then it's like, okay, well now it's on me. It's an opportunity for me. Like, where's the opportunity? And the opportunity was for me to step into a higher level. Like I built my business from these relationships. A lot of people that I worked with in the first year were people that I worked with before, people that referred me to other people. Like I knew them somehow. And as my business has grown, especially in the last 18 months, most of the people that I work with, I didn't know them before, or maybe they were an acquaintance, but it's like a referral or someone that I didn't know. So most of the people that I worked with before, I had a relationship with and I had known, so I kind of knew what to expect of them. And then as I grew, like, I feel like this was an opportunity, as like I had these more distant relationships or situations for me to treat my business like a business and treat myself like a CEO. Like, I am a coach, but I'm also a CEO. And sometimes I wear that coach hat more than is good for me. And I need to also wear that CEO hat. And so when those things happened, it was an opportunity for me to grow and put on that CEO hat and stop looking at things from a personal perspective or from a growth coach perspective. And it was an opportunity for me to step into the next level. And then also for me to look at, like, what do I want to learn from this? What problems do I want to solve? How do I want to handle this differently? Like, what filters will I have in place before I dedicate time or whatever to something or someone? Like, what do I want to have in place to make sure that it's really a mutual return on investment of whatever the resources are? So I think that's really helpful for anyone, is to look at when you're feeling like in that negative emotion, whether you're frustrated or stressed, to look at what that's telling you and like what decision you might need to make or what opportunity for growth there is there. Like, what do you need to do? Or if you feel like you're faced with a problem, to not look at it as like, oh, I'm stuck in this problem. It's like, I have this problem and I'm also empowered to solve it. Mm-hmm. Right? So when I would get all stuck in overthinking about things, I was like, okay, if I'm overthinking, that means I'm not making a decision. How can I move myself into making a decision?
It's awesome. I need you to like come talk to my team about that, because we get stuck in our overthinking.
You've said this, but you said it's a conflict of interest. So
it is, unfortunately.
To have some lines, you know.
Yeah, those boundaries, good and bad. So if you look at the last year, you look at 2023, what was your proudest moment of the year?
Proudest moment?
Mm-hmm. Or, I mean, if you had three.
Right.
You can't narrow it down to one.
I mean, where I go to is when I really touch into that, like, feeling of pride. I have that more for, like, what comes to mind first isn't necessarily what I achieved, but what my clients achieved. Yeah. So when I'm working with people and they're, you know, not stressed anymore and their marriages are better and they know what they want in their career and they're getting a $50,000 sign-on bonus and they're like no longer feeling like they're in a rut or their life isn't in the right direction, like, that is what fuels me. And being part of that, like, just like, is so honoring every time. Like, I will never get tired of like facilitating that journey, and I'm really proud of them for the work that they do. And I think maybe what I need to do a little bit more is be proud of that for myself too. Like, you know, I don't look at you, you're like, like, because I may not give myself, like, I know that I can facilitate results, but I'm not as strong in claiming like the skill set that I have, like, which is weird to say on this podcast. So all of you that are like, maybe I want to work with her, you're like, maybe not, because she doesn't own her skill set. Like, I do, like, I own what I'm doing, and I own, like, I know I have a process that works, but I also, I'm one piece of the puzzle. Like, I'm not the one, like, I can coach someone and I can give them the best strategies and tools, but it's my clients that are going out there and doing the work and taking the action and showing up to the calls. And that's what's getting the results.
Yep. You just described every type of coaching career, whether it's what you do or whether it's somebody coaching a sport. You give someone the tools, you teach them the tools, you give them the playbook, so to speak, but they're the ones that have to actually go on the field, on the court, in this case, into their own lives or their jobs, and actually do the things that you're advising them to do. So it's, you know, it is on them at the end of the day to execute, and it's your skill set that's guiding them. So it's awesome that you have that experience where you kind of get to go along for the ride. Yeah. And see their success and kind of celebrate that with them. If you were to turn the camera on you, though, and say, what is my proudest moment? Not for my clients, but for myself. What did I do in 2023 that I just wanted to pop champagne or blast off confetti poppers all around the house? What would that moment be?
I will say getting Beyond the Ceiling off the ground is something I'm super proud of. Like, it could make me start crying right now.
You should be.
Like, I'm so thoughtful about that program. And the women that came, see, I'm going to cry. The women that came together in that program, oh my gosh, okay. They are just like so amazing. And they are all building connections with each other and doing the work. And we just did a 30-day, like the first month check-in where they had to submit a review based on their initial goals. And they've made progress. They have had a measured improvement. And I had a check-in with one of the women in the group earlier today. And I did it like a one-on-one with those that wanted to elect to do that, to talk about their feedback and what they've been doing in the group so far and how their progress is going. And she said that, like, she almost was like emotional, saying how like this space is like a safe space like she's never had for this type of work. Like, and she struggles with speaking up and has had some experiences that contributed to that. And that was a hesitancy she had coming into this, is it's a group and I'm gonna have to speak up. And she said, like, you know, you've created such a safe space for me. And like these ladies, like, they can talk and it's like they're saying what I'm thinking. Like, I don't feel alone. And like, I know that I can say things here and it's not going to be judged. And and it just, like, it almost made me cry having that conversation with her, because that's exactly what I intended to create. And so even though I talk about how much of a challenge it was for me to design that program the way that I really wanted it to be and actually get it off the ground and offer it and feel really good about it, like, I'm glad that I took that journey I did and that I had the push and pull with myself and I challenged myself to see how I can make it even better and not just settle for something that was like coaching industry standard. I wanted it to be something greater, and to now have these conversations just 1 month in, and I had another one yesterday, and they both were like, this is exceeding my expectations. Because I asked them for feedback. I said, is there anything that you hoped would be in this program that isn't? And they were like, no, it's so much greater than I thought it was going to be. And that means so much to me, because they're investing a good amount of money to be in there, and they haven't even gotten their full results yet. We're 1 month in, but they've gotten results already. They're seeing progress, and they have that safe space and community. And so I created exactly what I intended to. And so that is like, I'm so happy every time I go and I coach that group twice a week. It makes me so happy. So
yeah, I know you get energized by that group.
I do. I love them so much. Like, I want them to be in there forever and ever. But, I also want them to meet their goals and move on. So that, I'm really, really proud of that. And that group stretches me as a leader. Like, I love everything about it. So I'm really proud of that. The other thing I'll say is, and this is another thing, a challenge I had to work with, but also something I'm really proud of, is my financial targets for this year I met 3 months early. And it was an increase from the year before. And so I had to do what I coach my clients on, love, is like being happy with, like, and celebrating that and not moving on to the next milestone. So instead of saying, okay, well, it's Q4, so I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do this and this and this because I can, and, just continue to increase it and exceed. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to relish and, like, being so grateful for myself and for the work that I did, that I got to this point. And what works for me, why my business is successful, is because I deliver. If I was coaching people and they weren't getting results, I wouldn't be getting referrals. People wouldn't be coming to me. They're coming to me because they know someone who knows someone who got results or whatever. Like, it's because it's proven. And so I decided for this last quarter, like, sure, I'm here, like, people can reach out to me, but I'm going to focus more on just delivering and pouring love into the space that I have, the clients I have, the groups that I have, and enjoying the holidays. And so I'm really proud that I did that. And it also was another opportunity for me to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important to pause and recognize your accomplishments and not just move on to the next thing. And I actually did that with my team at our end of year celebration. We were so busy all year, and when you're in the middle of it, you just keep going, and you just move from task to task. And when you piled up all the metrics, it was astonishing, the amount of work that we had done this year.
That's amazing.
And it is like very important to stop and reflect. So I'm glad that you are seeing that and that you're taking that for yourself, because it's well deserved, and you should reflect on that, and you should celebrate it, because it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So, awesome. So three proudest moments. So the last thing I have for you is kind of like what Andy Cohen does on his show. So I want your top.
Are we gonna do a
5.
shot ski? Oh,
No, we don't have a shot ski. That would be awesome, but we would need video for that to capture that. We would also have to buy a shot ski. No, I want to know your top 5.
What?
Your top 5 of 2023. What's your top 5? Like, whether
top 5 what?
Just
like everything in life?
Everything in 2023 that you did with your business. What's the top 5? You've listed a lot of things.
Okay, can I make it more holistic? I feel like I talked a lot about my business.
Sure.
Okay.
Make it more holistic.
Okay, top 5.
Bring your whole person to your business.
Okay.
So.
I'm not... Exactly. So I'm not going to go in order, because on Watch What Happens Live, they get some prep time for their top 5. I'm not having to go off the top of my head.
Yes, you are. So it's not weighted.
So it's not going to be weighted. Top 5. Oh my gosh, we had such a good year. So one thing is, so I'm going to say 2 regarding the kids.
Okay.
One, and that we can, I don't know, I guess they should be separate or together in a kid category. I don't know. I'll just keep going. So, so one is, my son started driving and got his first job this year, and a highlight is really like being the person that got to teach him to drive the first time, and taking him to the parking lot and like seeing how excited he was and the power of a vehicle. Like, he thought he could just get behind and go. He's like, whoa, and he just was so giddy and joyful about that. And so that is definitely a highlight this year. With my daughter, it's all about her music. Like, she's really flourishing in her music, and she's advancing, and she's getting out there, and she's got a lot of the stuff that, you know, we all have around, like getting in front of new audiences and building self-confidence. And she's really great in her band and orchestra. She's really great in her room when she practices, and then when she goes out to audition, you know, that's a new level of nerves. And so she's just gone out there and done that, and she's, you know, made an advanced band this year, and she's done a lot of different things. And so I'm really proud of her for getting outside her comfort zone. Yeah. So that's a highlight for sure.
Yeah, I was telling somebody how pleasant it is if we're like sitting up here reading and she's in her room practicing. It's wonderful, because the music coming out of the room is so good and so relaxing, and it just really sets a nice environment in which to relax and read. Yeah. She's really good.
She is. And I would say also, I don't know if I could pick one, but the trips we did this year, like, we had that amazing experience in Mexico for our wedding anniversary, and that was so great. And BravoCon, I know, guys, I talk about it. I think I have it on like a few different episodes where I mentioned BravoCon, but that was like one of the best weekends of my life. Like, it was just pure joy and fun in a world where there's war and craziness going on, and I don't have any like real like hobbies, I don't think. So I dabble in a lot of different things, but I don't have something that like just consumes my time that I would get really involved with, except I do like reality show on Bravo.
Yeah, Bravo is, I only knew Top Chef on Bravo until I met you. And then I would be working, and you'd have these things going in the background, and I became familiar with the names and the people and the personalities.
I know, now you're calling me Real Housewife.
Yeah, and I should have said Real Housewives of Melissa's Brain, right? Because it's all this the drama that's happening. Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun, and it was an interesting experience seeing a number of people treated like Elvis, no matter where they went. As soon as they came through,
it was like so fun. I know, you can't help but get involved, and then you're also screaming. And then I like would be like, okay, this is just a regular person on TV, like on TV that like has a normal life and was plucked into this show. Like, they're not, you know, it's not anything extraordinary, but it's like, oh my gosh, and like that. It was like a fun purely like luxury giddy
Guilty
experience.
pleasure type
Yeah,
of experience. Yeah,
it just was
absolutely.
really fun. So that was a highlight. Okay, so like we'll say trips, the kids. What else happened this year? I feel like the year goes by so fast, and then I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened and that happened. I'll say a highlight is I got some support this year in my business.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first 18 months or so plus, like I was really doing everything by myself. And then this past year is when I hired an assistant, and she has been fabulous. And now she's been with me most of the year of 2023, and then she's taking a step back. So I just onboarded a new assistant I'm super excited about. That's like amazing. And so having these like wonderful women to support my female-owned business that supports women in the industry, like I just feel like I'm giving back and practicing what I preach. And so having support is also something that I preach about, and I've given that to myself. And I have help with my podcast, of course, and I've gotten help with some graphic design for some of the content I put out on social media. So I've really allowed myself to lean into getting support, and that's been, gosh, I should have just named this growth. It's been another area of growth to like delegate and let go of something that you did all by yourself and built by yourself for such a long period of time. So I think that is another highlight, the support piece. Did you have something to add?
No, delegation is key. It really is. When you hit a certain level, being able to let go of tasks and have full 100% confidence in a team of people that they're going to pick it up and run with it and be able to carry it and move it forward. It's an amazing experience, and it's growth for you by delegating, and it offers growth for other people to work on different things.
And it gave me an opportunity really to like live in what I teach. So I have, an organizational psychology background and a leadership development background. And I have a group, the Stand Out Leader Incubator, and
Familiar with it.
Yes. And so I talk about these different leadership concepts and teach people how to be better leaders. And I got to practice that for myself.
You got to walk your talk.
Yeah. And I've walked my talk, but I hadn't done it in a while, like in a year or two. So I had to like deal with like, okay, I have, feedback I have to give and employee challenges and offboarding and onboarding. And so that was a highlight too, because I feel really great to have the support that I do, and it helps everything in my business that you see online be what it is.
Yeah. All right, that's 3. Got 2 more to go?
No, that was 4, I think.
No, that was 3.
No, honey, that was 4.
Kids, trips, delegation. You talked about 2 trips.
And I talked about 2 kids.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Saying, you're the scientist. Technically, it was more than 5.
You said categories.
I said
kids.
We can decide if we want to do categories or not.
Wow. Okay. Talk about like working the seams.
Listen. Okay. What else? Okay. I will say I'm also proud that my business in 2023 has given back to the industry and to like women and people of color in a bigger way than it ever has, because like I said before, like it's important to me. That's part of my business. And so with my success came, and with me getting support meant I had more time to give back to organizations. I had more money and more resources that I could invest in and sponsor with other people and organizations, more donations I could make. And so I'm really proud of that, because it's really important to me. It's to be a business of good. And I feel like I've been able to execute on that in a bigger way this year.
Yeah, you're staying true to your values.
Of course. Okay, so then if that's going to be 4...
Can you come up with one more?
Can I come up with one more?
You don't have to, because now technically, based
I have like 12.
Your, exceptions to the rule, you're at 6.
5. Did we talk about the launch of Beyond the Ceiling? That is a big highlight
You
of mine.
mentioned it in terms of like a proudest.
I don't think it was top 5 though, right?
No,
So
not yet.
I would say that, and I did 2 rounds of the Stand Out Leader Incubator this year, and I did one. We're about to go into the second round of Beyond the Ceiling, and so pivoting to that and seeing results be even greater and not less, being in that group model is amazing. So,
All right.
so excited about that.
So that, if we categorize things,
Oh my
kids,
gosh.
that's 5. If we break it down your way, it's 7.
All right.
So-
Do you want to get a log notebook and
What's
a log notebook? A lab notebook.
There's log books and there's notebooks. What are you talking about?
Log notebook.
No.
A lab
Lab
notebook.
No, I'm good.
You can document. You can get the transcript from this and then fact check me.
No, I'm good. Thank you, though.
And count up the numbers.
I don't need to do that. But I appreciate you going there.
Well, is there anything you want to share? I mean, we really talked longer than I thought. I was like, this is going to be like a 15-minute episode.
I saw you wrote down 20 minutes, and I was like, is this what I'm being held to? Because I just asked the questions, and I bet I spoke less than like 5
Well, of
minutes.
course. I was the one being interviewed.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, of course.
Anything I want to share about what?
Like your highlights from the year or any...
Whoa. I don't know. I mean, definitely some of the same things that you shared. The trips that we took were amazing. You had mentioned Mexico. You mentioned BravoCon. The Outer Banks with the kids.
Oh,
was
the outer... See,
great.
Yeah.
We went to Wisconsin
The
to visit
Packer
your
game.
family
And
at
that...
Easter.
Yes.
Which was, that was one trip to Wisconsin. And then recently the Packers game against the Kansas City Chiefs a week ago.
Yeah.
We, were privileged to be out there in person to see that game and to tour Lambeau, which was amazing. Like, that's just like the sports geek in me.
No, I loved that
stuff
too.
up.
Yeah.
So yeah, a plethora of trips. We also had the birthday trip with our friends to Virginia and got to try.
Yeah, it sounds like we
really
traveled
awesome
a lot.
We did. It was a busy year.
Yeah.
So yeah, the trip's definitely a highlight. Personal growth, doing, working out more, eating better periodically, not consistently, as consistently as I would like. And then I did a positive intelligence program that was really stellar.
Yep.
And has helped me a lot. And then, I mean, the kids are great. You can't really say enough about them. And work has just been, this year has been a roller coaster for me and my team. And I mentioned the metrics that I put together, and to be able to see that in writing and see everything that group of individuals accomplished over the course of a 12-month period is really extraordinary. And I've talked to my management team about it, and it's commonplace for us to just help people out when people need help and to do the work, and I'm really proud of them for everything that they've done, and I guess proud of myself as a leader for
right. I was like, you better practice
to navigate those situations because
coach.
I mean, not a coach, but to keep my cool and my calm in situations that really were difficult to handle. Big changes that affected lots of other people in the organization in not a positive way, and for my team to take on more work and to just kind of seamlessly pick it up and move stuff forward is quite amazing. So proud of myself for keeping a cool head.
You should be. I mean, your organization, like when we look at like how the pharma biotech industry was this year, 2023, with the up and down and the reorgs and the layoffs and all of the things, it's like your company is like an example of everything that happened, and also a testament to like how that can be more pleasant or as pleasant as it could be when you have a good leader, right? So you put in the effort and intention to navigate your team through a difficult time.
Yeah.
So good for you.
Thanks.
There's one thing that I didn't hear you mention though. Like you mentioned like kids and work and trips. I mean,
what? My wonderful wife?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you mention your wonderful wife. I didn't know we were going there. No, that's all. That's not just a highlight of this year. It's a highlight of every day. So it's not like it's unique to 2023.
I mean, that's so true. You're with me every step of the way.
Yeah, and you're with me. So we got each other's backs as we go side by side.
Aww.
You didn't mention your chief fun officer.
Oh, Brooklyn. I know. I need to plan a party. Maybe I'll do a New Year's party with her.
You should like...
And then my virtual team, and we'll just like have a little holiday party.
You should. I mean, maybe you should do like a holiday party with your clients and bring Brooklyn on Zoom. And
I
be
do.
Like, this is my chief fun officer.
I know. I think we're digressing now.
Yeah, we definitely.
But like, yeah, that's true. Actually, you know what? I didn't mention that. That's something I want to do different this year. Is I am looking for opportunities to bring my clients together in 2024. So,
like in person or just virtually?
Maybe both.
Okay.
I'm thinking in person. Not everyone.
IRL.
I know. Oh, you don't even talk that way.
You're
so silly.
It's just the kids rubbing off.
I have clients that are worldwide, but I have a good amount of people also in the area, in this Mid-Atlantic region area. So I'm thinking of maybe pulling people together. People could come in for it if they wanted to, but maybe doing something for those that couldn't come in. But I'm just looking at ways to kind of connect us. Going back to like Beyond the Ceiling, when we have that safe space, that community. Plus, I just love like pouring love into my clients. So I'm looking for a way to maybe get us all together. But
that would be very cool.
We will see. We will see what happens.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right. Well, thank you for facilitating and hosting the year in review. It's a lot more fun than me just talking about my lessons learned. I think this was a lot more
this is way
enjoyable
better than
to
a lessons
listen.
Learned meeting. Are you kidding me?
Wow. Okay.
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to interview you again, and appreciating my questions and me drilling down on things.
Yeah, maybe I'll invite you back. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Bye. Hey there, if you're ready to be in a role you love, I want to invite you to join Beyond the Ceiling, where you're going to stop feeling stuck, know your best career move, get in a role you love where you can have the impact you want to while feeling more confident and earning more with my proven process. Head over to yourworthycareer.com/beyond to get all of the details.